What's going on, everybody? MSD here, back with another video on Marvel Contest of Champions. As you can see, we got a spreadsheet. Oh, this is lovely. We always love a good spreadsheet. This is a spreadsheet of an Abyss path that I did. One of the 4 Abyss paths that I completed within the span of 4 days. Mentally exhausting, but totally worth it. Let's get right to the chase. No need to talk any further. I did path 5-3 with a full mutant team to fulfill not only an Abyss path, but also the Mutant Domination Karina's Challenge. Let's just get right to it. First fight on the path was Iron Man Infinity War, super easy Magneto solo. Nothing to say about that. Invisible Woman, Professor X fight, a little difficult for Professor X if you're more of a beginner to his rotation, but an experienced Professor X player knows how to handle Invisible Woman, no problem, moving on. Gladiator Hulk. So, this was a tag team takedown, technically, nice alliteration there, with Strife and Professor X because I needed to ramp up Strife to 100 telepathic charges before I could continue with the run. So Strife did like 7 to 8%, which was a nice, handout. I appreciate it. And then Professor X finished off the rest of it. 0 revives for the run, but it was not a solo. We move on to Yellow Jacket. So the strategy for the Yellow Jacket fight, a little difficult. You have to force block basically the entire time. And what force blocking is not letting your opponent, or is not letting your character walk up, not dashing back. You stand still and you hold block. Go for a reparry, counter a heavy attack. That's what you need to do in this fight. Only use heavy attacks and only throw specials. Make sure you have enough time when the mind control ends to dash back and go right into blocking so he doesn't have the chance to walk up and throw a special when he is not special locked. Very, very important that you remember that detail. Force block the entire fight, and when mind control is about to end, refresh the prowess and go right back into a blocking stance. Then we do Mordo, moving on. He's on every single path, so always love a good time fighting Mordo. I used one of my 3 White Magneto pre-fights here, good thing to note. And APOC, he got the job done. Some people don't know that even a 0 prowess APOC can solo 5.7 million health opponents. I did it on my Mutant Domination Abyss run because I needed to, and it just goes to show that Apocalypse is an absolute monster, and no one should say anything bad about him because it's just simply not true. Mephisto was next, and I debated using Apocalypse here. I didn't really see a need for it, so this was another Professor X solo. Again, this kind of falls into the same category as Invisible Woman, and I'll talk about Thor Rags too, because it's of the same vein, pretty much. Difficult fight for Professor X if you don't know how to manage him properly. If you do, you're going to have a good time. You're going to have a really good time. Really fun fights for Prof all around. But if you're new to Professor X, these fights will be a little difficult if you are using him for those specific fights. One more thing to note, I did use a second White Magneto pre-fight on Thor Ragnarok, so I wouldn't have to worry about his Abyssal ability. Aegon was up next, literally the easiest Professor X fight in Abyss, nothing to say about him. Mr. Sinister. This is where I needed to start reviving, because I needed to ramp up APOC, make Strife a Horseman, and then re-ramp APOC so I would have APOC at 4 charges. Now in hindsight, I probably didn't need to re-ramp APOC to use him for one fight, but I just felt like it was the safe thing to do to guarantee that I got the solo on thing. Didn't need to happen, and if you're going to run this exact same team, I don't necessarily recommend it. I'd probably just bite the bullet and either try and solo thing with Strife. Professor X can also solo thing, but he needs to be rank 4, or just throw a revive or 2. No big deal, and thing will not be a problem. Moving on, Red Skull. Really dislike this Red Skull fight. It's just kind of silly, and that will be a continuing trend for the remainder of these Abyss paths and the remainder of these videos. You'll just know that didn't really like Red Skull that much. So Red Skull was a Magneto and Strife tag team. Only cost me 1 revive. Magneto did about 50% initially, and then Strife did 2 runs, both 25% in each run. So nothing to really complain about there. But that revive number will go up as Magneto is no longer on any more teams, at least I don't believe. I think he's on 1 more team, but I don't fight... No, I do fight Red Skull, but I don't use Magneto. So you'll see that revive number actually go up. So probably should have used both of them instead of just one of them. After Red Skull was Bishop, and I decided to use a team revive here, so got everybody back from the dead. Used Professor X here. He seemed like my best option for a quick and easy takedown. I could have used APOC, and he would have worked fine, but I really wanted to try Professor X, see if he had the capability to solo, and it seems like if you get pretty lucky, you could, but this was a very simple one revive Professor X fight. Just get him in mind control, hit him a bunch of times, and he'll kill himself. So, good time. Havoc, surprisingly, Strife ended up working because if you trigger Havoc's plasma detonation with a psionic blast, you take none of the damage. So I just parry heavied, special 2'd, and Havoc went down. So Strife actually does work for Havoc, and it was a solo. So I was pretty happy about that. After Havoc, Champion and Ghost, really easy Strife fights. Just parry heavy, special 2, special 1, the whole 9 yards, super easy. And then we got the Karnak, the penultimate fight before the Collector. I threw everybody at this guy, except for White Max, because I didn't want to revive him. We got him down in 0 revives, because I threw APOC at him first and just heavied. Then I threw Strife at him, and we actually got a pretty decent run with Strife, even though his heavy range is super inconsistent. And then Professor X was able to finish him off because his heavy attack is only 1 hit, and, after 100 hits, you're hitting pretty hard. So Prof was able to finish him off. And then the Collector. You guys have already seen the video of this Path's Collector takedown with Professor X and Strife. It was a tag team takedown, which means no revives used. I was really happy about that. It just goes to show how powerful Strife and Professor X are in high-level content, and I really can't wait to see what the next Everest-level content looks like so they can be unleashed even further. So yeah, at the end of the day, this was my most cost-efficient path, and it actually allowed me to jump right into the next path, which was all of Path 2, and I'll cover that in a future video. So, this was the first of potentially 3, but more than likely 2 more videos. I'll probably just cover Path 2 and Path 4 in the same video, or Path 2 and Path 3-5 in the same video. Whatever works out. But if I can't, or I feel like it's going to be too long of a video, I'll make 4 separate videos, this one being one of them. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helps people get a good idea of what an Abyss run can look like in 2023. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.